Mr. President, slavery feels bad to talk about because slavery was bad. Honestly, I don't think museums go far enough. If you don't leave an African American history museum weeping and wanting to give your closest black friends reparations, then they didn't do the museum right.
That's the kind of line that makes people clutch their pearls and cancel their museum membership. But here we go anyways. America loves museums, dinosaurs, space rockets, George Washington's teeth, but mention slavery, and suddenly the rage bots activate. Teaching slavery is not woke, it's history. And any museum that pats you on the back and calls it a day missed the point. Let's get real, museums matter now more than ever. The National Museum of African American History and Culture, NMAHC, has welcomed nearly 13 million visitors since its 2016 opening. That's not niche, it's global. Yet the Trump administration has launched a campaign to reframe these institutions as out of control and accuse them of obsessing over how horrible America is. But here's the thing, if your museum doesn't leave you unsettled, it didn't work. You should walk out thinking, wow, I had no clue, I feel uncomfortable, I must act. If instead you leave clutching your latte and feeling proud of your birther lineage, what lesson even happened? Deny the brutality, sanitize the galleries, label it balanced, that's how historical amnesia wins. The Atlantic warned years ago that diminishing the memory of slavery undercuts every policy conversation about reparations, inequality, and social justice. Think about it. People are more scandalized by a black Ariel than by centuries of enslaved labor powering the American economy. Mermaids aren't real, slavery was. So maybe we should stop debating whether The Little Mermaid is too radical and instead ask why we get so queasy saying the word slavery. History isn't a spa treatment. If it leaves you too comfortable, you haven't been honest with yourself.
We constantly talk about white supremacy, but we look the other way with black degeneracy. It begets white hostility that then validates and begets white degeneracy.
Black degeneracy begots white hostility, and in her ignorancy begot stupidity because you're the f***ing idiot!
Ah yes, the favorite trick of the blame shifter. See, you made me hate you. You didn't hear me complain about white supremacy. I'm just over here minding my own business, and somehow black folks get charged for the violence done against them. So let me ask, what kind of logic is that? It's like saying if you leave your car unlocked, the thief made you. Or if you dress nice, the mugger had no choice. That's not social analysis. That's sitcom level blame. But this isn't just online trolls. It's a political narrative. According to a recent Pew Research survey, May 2025, the share of Americans saying black people face discrimination has declined from 80% to 74%, mostly driven by Republicans. That shift isn't about less racism, it's about more denial. Nearly half of GOP respondents now reject the idea that black people face discrimination. So the logic goes, if you deny the problem, you must reassign blame. If racism exists, it's because of black behavior, and presto victim becomes villain. Let's be clear, this is gaslighting on steroids. Turn decades of systemic oppression into a morality play starring the oppressed as the villains. That's not nuance, that's manipulation. And to make it extra spicy, there's always the respectability riff. If black people just acted nicer, dressed better, spoke softer, we wouldn't have this problem. Vox and others have long challenged the myth of black criminality, exposing how it's a tool to justify structural inequality. It's not about who's doing what, it's about who's allowed to do what. So by blaming black people for racism, you get to dodge guilt, erase history, and wake up every morning feeling morally superior. It's a cheat code in reverse. I'm not oppressing you, you made me do this. Now hold on tight, because next up, we're turning from blame to bottom lines. How racism and greed conspire to crush black employment first.
An alarming new jobs report shows a disproportionate jump in unemployment among black workers, specifically black women.
Let that settle in. Unemployment isn't a random glitch. It's the creaking door announcing structural collapse. And if black women are first through it, the rest of the house isn't safe. In Q2 2025, black unemployment nationally held steady at 6.2%, while white unemployment stayed around 3.4%. In places like Washington, D.C., it's as high as 10.3%. That's not a coincidence, that's a warning siren. Globally, people feel this too. In a 2025 Pew survey, a median of 34% of adults across many countries said racial or ethnic discrimination is very big, and more than 8 in 10 say inequality, rich versus poor, is a major problem in their country. So no, this isn't just an American race problem. Across continents, inequality is the default setting and racial stratifications lock in who loses first when crisis hits. Back to the US. In 2024 Q2, the black-white unemployment ratio was about 2.0 to 1. Black job seekers were twice as likely to be unemployed as white ones. What's crazier, in 2025 Q2, that ratio dipped slightly to 1.8 to 1, but only because white joblessness crept up, not because black unemployment dropped. This is the horror movie logic. When the canary in the coal mine starts choking, you don't blame the canary, you fix the poison. But here, the canary is blamed for breathing. Economic inequality isn't a bug, it's a feature. Centuries of policies redlining, discriminating hiring, biased appraisals paved this road. The racial wealth gap remains vast. Today, even after decades of supposed progress, studies show wealth inequities rooted in those old policies persist. And in macroeconomic modeling, racial discrimination in hiring accounts for 44–52% of the wage gap and a major share of unemployment volatility for black workers. Irony moment. We act surprised when recession hits everyone, but shock when black workers suffer first. Do we forget who built the pipelines, who harvested the cotton, who labored without pay? So yes, when black women lose jobs first, that's not collateral damage. It's the system crying out. It's the early victims of collapse. Coming up, we'll explore the monster behind that scream racism itself, not as a quaint theory, but as a disease infecting everything it touches.
In the history of America, black people are the lowest on the totem pole. Well, except for the people who invented the totem pole. Racism is like the syphilis of America. Once it gets in there, it just keeps spreading until the whole country is blind and crazy.
There it is. The metaphor you didn't know you needed. America's favorite pastime isn't baseball, it's untreated racism turning into a full-blown STD. And no, CVS doesn't carry a cream for this one. Think about it. Syphilis starts small, then spreads, then wrecks everything. Racism does the same. One law here, one stereotype there, and suddenly the whole system is foaming at the mouth. And you know what? Public health experts actually back this up. In 2020, over 150 cities and counties in the U.S. declared racism a public health crisis. That's not just activists. That's county commissions and health boards saying, yep, racism is literally killing people. Harvard Public Health called it contagion-like, spreading across generations through policy and culture. But instead of treatment, America scrolls. TikTok feeds us funny memes about Karen meltdowns while the actual infection festers. It's like laughing at someone with chickenpox while ignoring that you've got shingles. Yes, I'm talking to you scrolling right now. Don't pretend your algorithm isn't clogged with viral videos of racist train fights. Here's the irony. America loves vaccines. Polio? Be gone. Measles? Jabbed? COVID? Half jabbed, half debated on Facebook. But racism? Suddenly everyone's an anti-vaxxer. Do we really need the racism shot? Isn't herd immunity enough? No, Susan. Herd immunity doesn't work when half the herd is still burning books. And the symptoms? Oh, they're everywhere. Police brutality, wage gaps, housing discrimination, even life expectancy. The CDC reported during the pandemic that black Americans were dying at far higher rates, not just because of the virus, but because racism made their communities more vulnerable. That's systemic syphilis, baby. Meanwhile, the hypocrisy is wild. Politicians wag their fingers about family values while pushing policies that segregate schools, defund healthcare, and underfund black neighborhoods. It's like preaching celibacy while running an OnlyFans. We see you. Internationally, other countries look at America like, y'all okay over there? The UN has called out systemic racism in the US. Repeatedly, most recently in 2024, warning that unchecked inequality fuels instability. Translation: your untreated STD is about to go global. And here's the real kicker. Diseases don't just vanish. They mutate, they adapt, they go underground until the next outbreak. So if America doesn't face its infection head on, the fever's only getting worse. Which brings us to the big question. What's the cure? We've walked through history museums that don't go far enough, the gaslighting Olympics where victims get blamed, the horror movie job market that kills black women first, and the STD nobody wants to admit they've caught. But it all comes down to one infection: denial. Denial is America's real pastime. We deny slavery was bad. We deny racism exists. We deny unemployment disparities, even when the Bureau of Labor Statistics spells it out. Black workers are consistently twice as likely to be unemployed as white workers. We deny racism is a public health crisis even after over 150 U.S. jurisdictions formally declared it in 2020. And here's the irony. Other countries see this and shake their heads. A 2025 Pew Global survey showed that more than 8 in 10 adults worldwide think inequality is a major problem. People across the globe are connecting the dots, but in America, we're still debating whether teaching about slavery is woke. That's like arguing if gravity is liberal propaganda while you're falling off a cliff. So what's the cure? Not another blue ribbon commission, not another hashtag. It starts with education that actually hurts a little, because truth stings. It continues with policy that recognizes racism as systemic, not accidental. And it ends with the collective courage to say, we've got the disease, and we need treatment. Satire helps us laugh at the madness, but laughter isn't anesthesia, it's the alarm clock. And if you're still hitting snooze, you're choosing the infection over the cure. Punchline? America doesn't need a time machine, it needs a vaccine. And until we get it, denial will keep spreading faster than any TikTok dance trend. Alright, I'll leave it there. Drop your thoughts in the comments unless you're about to say slavery wasn't that bad, in which case, museums that way.